morning. Different parenting style. We have authoritative parents, authoritarian parents. We have laissez-faire parents. But what we are talking about is biblical approach. What is God's standard in raising children? What is the templates that God has given? So we'll talk about biblical standard approach. We are talking about God's standard. What has God given unto us to use in raising children? Now when we talk about training, please let's turn with me to Proverbs chapter 22, the popular passage that we all know. Can we all recite it? Because I'm sure we know that passage very well. After the count of 2, can we all recite it? 1, 2. Can we read it again? Can we read it intentionally again? This single verse is loaded. Now, let's turn to Proverbs chapter 23, verse 24. Can we take it together again? Proverbs 23, 24. 1, 2, go. How many of us want this to be our testimony about our children? No, okay, the rest of you don't want this testimony. If you want this, you want this to be your testimony, that your child will be righteous and your child will be a wise child. Can I see your hands up? God bless you. So shall it be in the name of Jesus. Let's turn to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. Can we read it together, please? 1, 2, go. Can we read it together? 1, 2, go. Thank you very much. So, when we talk about training, what do we mean by training? The Bible is telling us, train up a child. Train up a child in the way that he should go. And that defines intentionality. That means that as parents, there is something that we must do. We must train. But what does it mean to train? Training means teaching a person to acquire a skill or a particular behavior. So that means that as parents, it is our responsibility to teach our children how to behave. It is our responsibility to help our children acquire the skills that they need to function when they become adults. And I want to say, many of us take this for granted. Like I've been talking about intentionality. We think when we bring them to the church, they will learn. We think because we do family devotion that they will learn. And many of us think because we keep correcting them. When they do anything that is wrong, we correct them. In fact, that is the training, the meaning of training for most of us. A child is doing something, you tell the child, stop doing this thing. Have I not told you not to do it? When did you intentionally tell that child not to do it? So you see, there is intentionality in training. We'll be talking about that shortly. Now, who is a child? The Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. What did the Bible say we should do? We should train who? I like a very responsive class. Just that I've not been told that it's going to be very interactive. So that's why I want to do preaching. I want to be a preacher today. But naturally, I'm a teacher. But I still want some elements of teaching. Now, the Bible says, train up a child. The Bible says, train up a who? Can you say it louder? Did the Bible say train up an adult? Hello? Good. Now, who is a child? According to WHO, a child is any human being that is below the age of 18. From birth till 18 years old. That is a child. Now, that means that once a human being gets to 18, that person is no longer a child. That person is still your child, but that person should have graduated from parental training, and that person should be ready to be launched into the world to start living the life of an adult. That means that the 20-year-old child, that is your child in quotes now, the 20-year-old adult in your house should have graduated from the basics of childhood training. That means that the 25-year-old boy that is in your house should no longer be in the school of childhood training. What you should be doing after 18 should be perfecting what you have done. But I ask you this morning, what have you done that you want to perfect? Where is the scheme that you use in raising your children? Where is the template? What are the areas you have raised that child before 18, before you can talk about perfecting? And that's why, because we failed we failed to be intentional parents, that's why at 18, 19, 20, we are still passing across to them the basics they should have known. I tell you, if there are people that have failed in raising children, they are Christians, particularly Pentecostals. I'm sorry to say this, Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm sure there is none here, they are more intentional in raising children than Pentecostals. If you see a typical Jehovah's Witness, look at their children. They will almost be like them. You know the reason? They do lots of training. Training in their church and training at home. So you see, when we are not intentional, we will be struggling. When we should have graduated a child to the next class of perfecting, we are still struggling with the basics. I tell you. So, we are going to be looking at how do we train our children. Now, before I leave this defining of basic concepts, I want to tell you that childhood is divided basically into 3 periods. Remember, the topic before me is children of different ages. These children from birth till 18, where do they belong? Now, from birth till 8 years old, they are in their formative years. They are in early childhood. And I'm going to tell you more about that so that you'll be able to understand some things. From 8 to 12, they are in middle childhood. And from 12 to 18, they are in their late childhood. So childhood is divided into 3. What's the first one? Bros, don't talk. What's the first one? What's the name? What did I call it? Those at the back. What did I call it? Remember, I'm a teacher. So please pardon me. Those at the back. I don't want the people in this 1, 2, 3, 4 rows to talk. Those at the back. What did I call the first stage? Again? Early childhood. And what is the age range for early childhood? Yes? Thank you very much. Now, those of you in the first 4 rows here, what's the second stage? Middle childhood. And what is the age range for middle childhood? 8 to 12. And everybody, what's the last stage? Late childhood. And that is from what age? 12 to 18. Now, these stages, they are very, very crucial. Very, very crucial. When you want to build a house, where do you start from? Hello? The foundation. Now, what are the things that will determine what you will do with the foundation? What are the things that will determine the kind of foundation you are going to be putting down? The type of the house you want to build. Yes, what again? The size. Yeah. The nature of the soil. I like that, Pastor. And can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, that the soil now, the soil of this age is known as the 21st century age. The soil. Remember, Pastor says soil. When you were growing up, the way your parents raised you up, the soil then is not the same soil now. When you were growing up, I would use this example. If you are doing something or you went with your parents out and they are giving you something and your mother is saying, take it now, take it now. Will you take it? No. But now, even before you say take, before you say ke, the child has taken it. Why? The soil is quite different. So the soil will affect the kind of building you will put up, your foundation. Very, very important. This type of structure you want to put on. So the foundation is very, very important. Remember I said early years, from birth to 8 years. Can I tell you? Who you are today as an adult, except you have met Christ, and your meeting Christ is meeting Christ at the cross, not meeting Christ in the church. I'm sure you know that some people met Christ in the church. Give your life to Christ, they will come up and they will change some things, they are Christians. But some people met Christ at the cross. If you meet Christ at the cross, you have a dramatic change of life. But apart from that kind of significant experience, who you are today as an adult, 70% of it was determined at the foundation stage. Scientists, psychologists, particularly, they tell us that by age 5, what a child will be, 70% of what a child will become, socially, morally, cognitively, in every aspect, has been determined. That is why it is called the formative years. What we failed to do and what we did will affect the child. Many of the complaints that we are giving today about our children, I want to tell you that some of them we are responsible. I always like sharing this at forums, not because I want to blow anything or not because I just want to sweet talk people. I want to say that as a parent, I failed. How did I fail? I did not fail by showing bad example, but I failed because of my ignorance. I failed because I did not understand, or we did not understand, that it is not just our example alone that children are looking at. Sometimes what we should do and we did not do. Sometimes what we focus on, those things will eventually form the kind of children our children will become. Like I always tell people about my first child. My first child, from the beginning of his life, he was hyperactive, and he was on the other side that we needed extra skill. And we did not know how to handle that kind of a child. So we were just focusing on the things he was doing wrong. We did not look at anything good. To us, he was not a good child. And because that was our focus from his formative years, we made him to believe he was a bad child. Because that was what we were seeing. And that's why I told you at the beginning, it is not every bad person you see around that came from a bad home. But their parents must have missed something along the line. Now, these formative years is very, very important. If the foundation be destroyed, what did the Bible says? What can the righteous do? When the foundation of our bringing up of our children is faulty, except there is going to be a drastic thing, that is significant experience that we have, that will help them throw pillars into their lives. They may live faulty lives all the days of their life. So it is very, very important. According to a great mentor, a woman I respect so much, Maria Montessori. Maria Montessori said that before the age of 5, children pass through what is called the sensitive period. A sensitive period. What is a sensitive period? A sensitive period is a time when the window, if you look towards that direction, the window is open. And as the window is open, air can come in easily. Anything can come in easily without any restraint. Maria Montessori said that before age 5, that the lives of children is like that window. It is open. You can use that period to teach them so many things. To teach, to show them, to train them. Not to assume that because they come to church, not to assume because you do family devotion. To teach them. And that because the window is open, they can easily learn those things without struggle. But you know what? Once the window is closed, that they may never learn those things. Except you apply grease and start opening it gradually, or a significant experience where you break the window. What am I saying? The foundation is very, very important. That is the beginning of the job. The foundation. We are going to be looking at areas we are going to be training children from that foundation. Now, after the foundation period, like as I've also said, is a very sensitive period. It's a period where the depth of what you want your child to become, it is at that time you lay the depth of the blocks. I'll tell you what blocks are in training children. That is when you lay the blocks, you make it deep. And if you are not intentional, if you don't have a scheme, you don't have a syllabus, you just assume that they will turn out fine. And you think prayers alone will make them turn out fine. There is the part of the divine. If it's for prayers, my son, we prayed, fasted. But that will not take the part we should play. God has his part. We have our part. It's a divine partnership. A divine human partnership. You have your part to play in parenting. Prayer is good. Prayer is not negotiable. But you have your part to play. When you don't play your part and you are just praying, some things will happen to make you realize that you should play your part. So the foundation is very, very important. Now, after the foundation, that foundation is laid by parents. foundation years is done by parents. Thank God that there are children go to school very early now. But I tell you, most schools don't know how to help children lay solid foundation. And that's part of what we are doing now. Teaching schools how to teach children virtues. Because virtues are building blocks for sound character. That's part of what we do in our outfit. To help schools acquire pedagogical skills and also help them acquire skills that they can use in helping children develop sound character, because it's something they must be intentional about. But I tell you, this foundation stage, you have a part to play. It is your responsibility as parents to lay the foundation, because you are the owner of the building. You know the depths. You know what you want your child to turn out to be. A godly child. A child that is sound in character, sound in mind, and a child that will also become economically independent. We don't want to raise children that will become liabilities to us and liabilities to the society. We don't want to raise children that at our old age will still be giving them money. We don't want to raise that kind of those kind of children. So the kind of children you want to raise will determine the quality of time and the quality of your scheme. Do you have a scheme for your children? Do you have something in mind? Okay, this is what I want my children to become. And you start taking it one by one and start training them. Very, very important. Now, the middle years, 8 to 12, this is when actually they are supposed to move out of homes and start relating with their peers, with their mates. This is where relationship, they start building relationship. So remember, 70% foundation. The remaining 30% they are going to pick from their friends. So, and that will tell us as parents that the kind of relationship our children, the kind of relationship they keep, the kind of school you send them to is also going to affect what they will turn out to be, because it's part of the percentage that will form who they will become. So the middle years is a year they move out, you start raising blocks to lintel, and then from 12 to 18, you roof the house. The house is now ready. It's now ready for finishing, which they will start doing. So, very, very important. Between 12 and 18 is a turbulent time for some children, particularly from 13 to 18, when they become adolescents. It's a turbulent time because it's midway between childhood and adulthood. It's midway between childhood and adulthood. It's a time they are transiting. It's a time they are moving on. They want to leave childhood. They want to graduate to the next phase. And the next phase is becoming adult. So it's a time of conflict. They are not totally children, and they are not totally adults. It's a time of conflict. It's a time of rapid growth. So they have so many hormonal challenges and so many things that will be coming up. And if we as parents understand different ages, we'll be able to provide support for them for those ages. So let's don't forget what we are talking about. The Bible tells us, train up a child in the way the child should go, so that when that child grows up, so that when that child becomes 18 and now moves into the adulthood phase, the child will not depart from it. Train up a child at the formative years, at the sensitive period, according to Maria Montessori. That is the time when you can make a child become what you want that child to be, if you are intentional about it. The Bible says, train up, teach the child, show the child. Like Maria Montessori will say, you show the child what to do. But you know what we do in this part of the world? We don't show children what to do. It is when they misbehave, we correct them. Our training in this part of the world starts from correcting. And correcting is not the first stage of training. And many of us who use Bible scriptures, the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. But excuse me, what is the essence of the rod? Have you told the child, train the child, if you do this, these are the consequences. So, it is very, very good we understand that inputs at these stages of development will affect what that child will be as an adult. The child may not be wayward, but the child might not have acquired the right skills. The child may not be a bad child, but that child may not have sound character. So it is very, very important we know these different stages and be intentional. Number one, at the formative years, sensitive period, a time of building foundation. Number two, at the middle age, who do they interact with? What kind of school do they go? Do you just leave them to go out and play with anybody? Do you just leave them to go and visit anybody? The things they will pick will eventually form who they will become. Now, at the last stage, during the conflict period, what kind of support do you give them? Knowing what they are going through. The conflict between following their friends' footsteps, the temptation, particularly in this soil that we live in, the temptation when you see your child dancing to some music, when you see your child doing some things, what do? Is it the rod you introduce first? Ephesians chapter 6 verse 4 told us that we should not provoke our children. What is it saying? Let there be understanding in raising your children. Now, let's look at what are the areas that we'll have to train our children. The ones we are familiar with is bringing them in the fear of God, which is good, which is central, which is core. But I'm sure you know that you have seen so many church people that don't have good character. You have seen so many church people that are lazy. You have seen so many church people that have some kind of character that ordinarily you will not want. So, what are the areas that as parents we must be intentional in raising our children? Number one, we must raise our children physically. What does it mean to raise our children physically? That means we must teach them how to take care of themselves. Do we just assume that they will know it? Do you know that there are things you teach a child how to bathe himself, how to brush his shoe? And remember, during the foundation stage, when the window of opportunity is open, for those of you that are teachers, you have heard about Maria Montessori approach. Maria Montessori approach, you teach the child, show the child how to care for himself, so that the child will begin to do it. Some children are 6, 7, their parents are still bathing them. In the morning when they wake up, they will still dress them for school. No. At the foundation stage, you can teach a child how to brush his teeth, to show him. Not that you just assume that because you have been brushing the teeth, the child should know. Teach him how to do it. Teach him how to button his shirt. Teach him how to button his shoe. Teach him how to keep things. I think that was where basically I missed it. When I did the Montessori course, I just said, wow, missed it here. Teach a child at that formative stage, not when the child is 8, 12. When you come back from school, put your things here. And because children at that stage, the window is open to learn pattern. The window is open. They will just learn it unknowingly. So, you train a child. You teach. You show a child deliberately how to care for himself. Everything that has to do with care of self. Have you seen some men that when you pass them, they are very terrible odor? They can't wash their clothes, are dirty, smelling. You know why? The upbringing, the parents were not intentional. And it's not the parents' fault. Because you can't give what you don't have. When you don't know that this is how you should do it, you can't do it. So you must teach children how to take care of themselves. When you teach children how to take care of themselves, by the time they get to school, they know how to fold their clothes, they know how to brush their teeth, they know where to keep their clothes, they know how to make dishes. Some people will not even allow their children to do some basic work. They will give out help to do it. Good luck to you. You are destroying the lives of your children. Very, very important. You must teach your children how to take care of themselves. Not only that, you must teach your children how to take care of the environment. You must teach your children, not when they are 8. From the time a child is about 3 years old, give the child a small portion of what to do in the house. It's part of the training. Give a child the small, according to the child's size. Give the child what to do. Number 2, what is the other area we need to train a child? We need to train a child socially. What is social training? Social training is teaching a child how to relate. Some of us, when they come into our homes and our child did not greet them, you say, why didn't you greet them? Have I not told you to be greeting them? Where is that one in your scheme? When did you intentionally teach them that not when the guests come, you start saying that. When did you teach them that when we have visitors, when they come, this is how to greet. And when they respond, this is what to say. Maria Montessori said that during the sensitive period, children can easily learn social skills. Have you met people before who cannot apologize when they do wrong? It's not because they are men. Have you met people before? Give them anything they will not appreciate. You know why? They are products of faulty foundation. Their parents did not teach them at the formative years. When their parents started telling them they've passed the age they can easily learn them, so they easily forget. So, what do we teach our children socially? We teach them respect. Teach them to respect people. We teach them to be assertive. Do you know what it means to be assertive? We teach them how to respond when there is conflict. You tell them when there is a conflict does not mean fight. When there is a conflict, there is somebody's opinion is quite different from your own. How do you respond? It is not when there is conflict. You can use that conflict time to concretize what you are teaching them. But you must teach your children how to respond in conflict. You must tell children there are 3 ways of responding in conflict. Number 1, it can be submissively, assertively, or aggressively. And you teach them, what does it mean to be submissively? That means you respect the right of others without respecting your own rights. What does it mean to be assertive? It means that you respect your rights and you respect the right of others. And what does it mean to be aggressive? It means that you don't have respect for others. You only have respect for yourself. So as part of our scheme, our social scheme, we teach our children how to be assertive. Don't teach your children to be submissively. Yes. Submissive is not, I'm not talking about submissive to authority. I'm talking about in response to conflict. When there is a conflict, express your opinion the way you feel, but don't hurt others. That's what it means to be assertive. You will not say because others will be hurt, then you will not. So we must teach our children, number 1, how to respect people. We must teach our children how to respond to conflict. We must teach our children grace and courtesy. We must teach our children grace and courtesy. What is grace and courtesy? We must teach our children deliberately how to say I'm sorry, how to say thank you, how to interrupt conversation. These things are things that we don't just assume that they will know. We must teach them. Very, very important. So, you must teach children how to respect others. We must teach children how to be assertive. We must teach children how to exhibit grace and courtesy. And what is grace and courtesy? We must teach them how to say thank you when they are giving things. We must teach them to say I'm sorry when they offend people. We must teach them to say how to interrupt conversation. Not that two people are talking, hey, mommy, come. Many of our children, they do that. And it's not their fault. We have not trained them. That when mommy is talking to somebody or daddy is talking to somebody and you want to interrupt the conversation, just raise your hand and say, excuse me, and daddy or mommy will give you attention. But until daddy or mommy gives you attention, you don't talk. We don't train them. We just assume. Parenting is not assumption. Parenting is intentionality. Very, very important. Number 3, we must train children mentally. We must allow children to acquire knowledge that they will need to become economically independent. We must train our children to acquire skills and knowledge that will make them to become economically independent. Can I tell you, brothers and sisters, it's not just sending them to school. What kind of schools do you send them to? When you send them to school, do you equip them? Do you give them materials? Then apart from acquiring book knowledge, what other skills have you trained your children to acquire? Are you preparing them for the next age? Can I shock you, ladies and brothers and sisters, that the next age, if you don't train your children very well, they might not be able to fit into the job market in the nearest future. And that's why you must train your children. You must train your children to acquire right skills. Your children, let me ask you, apart from book, what other skills do they have? When I came here this morning, I saw some little children doing photography. Beautiful. If they have opportunity to travel out of this country, they may not use that paper that they have acquired in school. It may be the skills. And if you don't let them acquire skills, with the way our nation is, children who don't have skills, how will they survive in this economy? How many people get regular jobs? So, brothers and sisters, train your children to acquire skills. Photography skills, skills in computer engineering. Let them acquire things that will be relevant for this age. Very, very important. It's not just acquiring skills in the name of acquiring skills. Study what is relevant and send them during holidays. Instead of going to do holiday lesson that they will be teaching them what they will teach them when they resume. During holidays, send them to go and learn some skills. Very, very important. Not only that, can I also tell you that don't be interested alone in your children just reading. Yes. Don't be interested in their just reading alone. Reading alone is not enough. Can you identify skills that they have? And nurture it. Nurture it. Do you see a child that can dance? Do you see a child that has a good voice? Do you see a child that can manipulate instruments? Do you see a child that has this dexterity in doing things? All your children, check them. They have one skill. Please. Part of what the Bible has told us. Train. Identify the skill that your child has and nurture it. Nurture it. I remember when our second son was still very young, we noticed that he had interest in music. And we started doing the little we could. Bought piano, got him piano teachers, teachers to teach him. And today in the church, when he leads praise and worship, you must be blessed. You must be blessed. That same boy too, we noticed that he's not a book person. I remember when he was in the university, when he comes back home, I say, are you not going to read? He said, so may I expect him to carry book and be reading? No. he will go to where he's learning, because before he went to school, we enrolled him where he will learn computer engineering. And he's very good with his hands. So, in addition, they will go to school. But in addition to going to school, what else can they do? What else? What else? Identify it. Nurture it. Train them on it. That may be what will be the saving grace for them in the future. You must train your children financially. I remember my first son was saying something some weeks ago, last month. He was saying, the summary of what he was saying was, you did not me, he was talking about the father. You did not mentor me, I did not mentor him. You know what children are saying? That's why I said the soil is different. We did the best we knew. Some of these things I'm sharing with you today, were things one learned along the line. And I had wished before then that I would see somebody to teach me on what and what should you do in raising children. Apart from devotion, take them to church, correct them, what else? And the boy was saying, did you mentor me? Did you mentor me? Mentor me on what? How to get money and how to spend money. You deliberately teach your children how they can make money legitimately and how they can spend money. Have you ever sat your child? What you do when you give them money and they go and spend, you say, all you know is to be buying biscuits. Have you trained them on how to do that? So we need to train our children on how to earn and spend money. I've talked about spiritually, we all know that. You teach them to fear God. Teach them to fear God. Teach them to love God. And teach them to serve God. Those are the three things spiritually. Teach your children to know God. Don't leave them behind when you are coming to church. I'm sure if you read what the pamphlet you are giving today, you'll see some of those things there. Teach them to love God. And let them see you loving God. And teach them to serve God. Make sure they are doing something in the church. Very, very important. And lastly, train your children emotionally. Don't let your children become adult babies. You know, there are some adults, emotionally they are babies. They are very controversial. Anywhere they get to, people will not understand them. They say, people don't understand me. How will they understand you? When your own behavior is different from what other human beings are doing. So we should train them to know how to manage their emotions. Humans, we are bundles of emotions. We must teach people. We must teach our sons to respect women. It's part of our responsibility. And that shows that as a father, you must not talk to your wife anyhow. You must teach our sons how to respect women. You must not be beating and talking to your wife rudely. You must not be the master and your wife is the subordinate. Your wife is your partner. And you know what? Your training and your example, your children are looking at it, is the same thing they will want to replicate. We must teach our children, our sons, to respect women. We must teach our women to respect their husbands. And we must also teach them to be industrious. If girls are taught to be industrious, they will not be falling into the traps that they are falling into. A man will give you 500, 1,000, and you lose your virginity because of what? If you train your children, you raise them up, that there is nothing a man can achieve that you as a woman cannot achieve with your own hands, if you work hard. So we must teach our women, our girls, to be hardworking, to be respectful. And we must teach our boys to respect women and not be beating women. Very, very important. How do we train our children? Number one, we ourselves you must buy a product before you can use the product. You want to raise children with biblical approach, with biblical principles, you must know that God first. You can't give what you don't have. So if you want to use biblical method in raising up your children, you must know that God. That's number one. Number two, you must know what he has said. He has said, train your children. He has said, don't provoke them. He has said, nurture them. Nurture. What you nurture will not die. But what you don't nurture will wither away and will die. So that's the first step. You want to raise godly children, you must know God before you can introduce your children to knowing God. Number two, you must understand the stages of child development and the expectations at each stage and what is expected of you. You must know it. Number three, you must be intentional. Very, very important. See, raising children in the 21st century is particularly demanding because the children are faced with so many temptations, unlike when we were growing up. Temptation from the media, temptation all around. So you must be intentional. Very, very important. Number four, this is very important. You must respect children. You must respect children. In this part of the world, we don't respect children. And when I say it at programs, people will say they don't. I mean, at the first time they may not agree, but as you go on, you will agree. If the father of the house mistakenly shatter a glass, you see everybody running around, Daddy, sorry. Everybody running around. Mommy, your wife will say, Mommy, Daddy, sorry. They will clean it up. Let a child mistakenly break that glass. What will you say? What will you say? Good. Particularly if he has done it before. If our daddy here, pastor here now, at home, he mistakenly breaks a glass yesterday, and today, he mistakenly breaks the glass again. Will this our mommy say, what is it now? Are you not an adult? I'm sure even if I know our daddy will not slap her, but the look will say, when did that one start? Daddy, am I right, sir? Very. But if your daughter does that twice, what will happen? What will happen? Every time, if you break it again, I will use it to put mark on your body. A child will tell you, Daddy, Mommy, I'm not eating beans. You are not eating what? You will eat beans by force, by fire. If you don't eat, that is your business. But remember, you're a human being. If you don't feel like eating something, what will you expect somebody to tell you? Even if there is no alternative. Won't you be able to say the person to explain to you? We think we don't owe children explanation. Can I shock you, ladies and gentlemen? We live in an age where we owe children explanation. Because I'm sure you know suicidal rate is so high now. And one of the ways your children will not commit suicide is respect for them. And number two, connect with them. Connecting with children, if you forget everything I've been talking about, all the grammar I've been talking about, there are two things I don't want you to forget. Respect for children. Connect with children. If you forget every other thing I've been talking about, please, your child, when you get back home today, treat your child the way you want to be treated. If you treat a child with respect, that child will not want to throw that respect away. That's number one. Number two, bonding with children is very, very important. When you bond with children, number one, you are securing your old age. Number two, they will not want to hurt you. Like I said, I have 5 boys and I've experimented these 2. My first 3 children were hard in raising them. The last 2, I started using this approach. They will not want to hurt you. They will not want to hurt you. See, connecting with children is very, very important. Connect with them. Let them see the genuinity of your love for them. That even when you are correcting, you are not destroying their self-esteem. It is what they have done you are correcting. You are not putting them down. You are not making them look stupid and foolish. Very, very important. Anything they want to do, if you have very strong bond with your children, they will always remember you. No, daddy will not be happy. But if you are an absent daddy does not mean somebody not staying at home. It's not, you may be at home and you may be absent. And you may be on the road like me and present. An absent daddy is a daddy that children cannot come and sit down with and say, Dad, I want to discuss with you. Dad, you see this, and you discuss as friends. Very, very important. An absent mommy, your child, your daughter cannot tell you anything except to sit her down to ask her, because you are not afraid. You are not her friend. If you don't cultivate the friendship of your children, there will be no bond, there will be no connection. And can I tell you, at your old age, you will suffer. Not financial suffering, no. I'll share with you about my dad. My dad loved us in his own way, but he was very strict. Very strict. And as soon as my brothers got out of home, at my father's old age, going home was not a good. My brothers did not like going home. We that even went, we were going because we were women. The connection was not there, and his old age was lonely. Everything in life is not about money. You need to make deposit for your old age, and the deposit you will make for your old age is the love and the bond. That when you are old, your children will not say, I think I send money to daddy. That should be enough for him. No. They're thinking, how will daddy be feeling now? Let's go and spend weekend with daddy. Let's bring daddy here. They will be thinking about your feelings. But if you don't make this deposit, this emotional deposit, you may have money, but money cannot take the place of relationship at old age. Yes. Money cannot take the position of the love. You'll be open. You'll be naked at old age. Send them to Harvard.